Hey guys, welcome to this week's reading vlog. This week's vlog is kind of a special one. This week, it is my birthday. So first of all, I'm excited about my birthday. And second, I am excited because my plan is to spend the entire week reading and watching Star Wars. So I grew up in a house where we were definitely aligned as being Trekkies. I don't think I saw any Star Wars whatsoever until I was probably in college. My plan is to start with the High Republic books. I'm going to put that forward so you can see that. And this one is called The Light of the Jedi, and it's by Charles Soule. I'm assuming that's how you say that. And at the same time, our plan is to watch the new show on Disney Plus, which is The Acolyte, which I also have not seen and don't know anything about. I think it's just going to be a really great week, and I am really, really excited. So, welcome to the vlog. Hi guys, I am back and day one of Star Wars is in the books. Had a good time. And I want to talk about Light of the Jedi. So I read the first 30% of this, first 17 chapters, which if you read the book is kind of a natural stopping place. And I'm actually really enjoying it. I feel like as someone who has not read any Star Wars books before, this feels like a good place to enter because although there are some things that maybe I don't exactly know about, I don't feel like there's as much backstory with these characters that I have to know before I even start reading the book, which is the thing that I was really concerned about. So I'm really enjoying that. So the setup of this book is that there is a planet which is in imminent danger of being destroyed by all of these objects that are coming out of hyperspace, mysterious things, they don't know what they are. And all of the Jedis in the area kind of converge together to try and save the planet and save the people that live on the planet. And it's really exciting, really well written, it's really good. And I've met a lot of characters whose names that I currently cannot remember, but I'm sure that I will remember them later. But I am really, really enjoying the book so far. So that's definitely going well. And we also started the first episode, or we watched the first episode last night of The Acolyte, which is the new Star Wars show on Disney Plus, which is set in that same High Republic period as the book that I am reading. And I've also really enjoyed that. Our main character in that, her name is Osha, and she is somebody who has a tragic backstory. Her parents and her sister passed away tragically, and then she was adopted into the Jedi Temple. And so now she has been accused of doing something, keeping it vague, and her old Jedi master has come to bring her in and find out what has happened. And I really liked Osha as a character. Really like the Jedi Master. Can't remember his name right now. I think it's going really well. And I'm excited to watch some more. So we are about to head out for some Indian food. And then after we get Indian food, then I think we're going to come back and we're going to watch another episode. And that's going to be really exciting. It is currently Wednesday. It is finally not super hot outside. So I'll be back in a little bit. What a sweetie. Are you just gonna let her like sit? welcome back and welcome to my kitchen. And I just got back from the library where I picked up the next book in this series, which is The Rising Storm. I definitely think I'll be able to get to that. Well, I'm read that during the vlog. I also picked up the first young adult book in the New Republic. I don't know if I'll get to this one or not. I think I'm probably going to read these as separate from the adult trilogy. So now I've got my shirt on, and I think that we're gonna try to make some Wookiee cookies. So Sean had this Star Wars cookbook. I don't know where he got it from. It's from the mid-90s maybe, and it's full of some very, authentic recipes like boba fettuccine. Well, obviously we have Greedo's burritos. Sure. And then we have my personal favorite, which is Jabba Jiggle, which does appear to be, I really hope that's showing up, which does appear to just be Jell-O fruit salad with a plastic Jabba figurine on top of it. So we're not making any of those. We are making the cover recipe, which is Wookiee cookies, which are basically snickerdoodles with chocolate chips in them. But that sounds really good to me. So I'm going to go ahead and try to measure the dry ingredients out while I talk to you about my progress in Light of the Jedi. So I am at about 60% of the book now. And I think my feelings about it, I would say, are kind of maybe a little bit mixed. I did really enjoy the first part of the book with there's kind of a lead up to an event that they're trying to prevent from happening. And I haven't been quite as into it since that part. I'm trying to be vague because of spoilers. We have met the group that I assume are going to be kind of the main bad guys of the series. They're called I'm going to say it wrong because I didn't look it up, but the Nihil, Nihil. That's how you spell that. And so that they're the main bad guys, and they're kind of like the anarchists of the galaxy, kind of like we're having like a motorcycle gang in space or something like that. And they're fine. But I probably wouldn't say that they're the scariest bad guys ever. So I'm sure there's a lot more going on that I don't know about yet. But that's kind of my feelings right now, that it's not the most exciting book I've ever read, but I am enjoying a lot of the Jedi characters in particular. And there's a lot of really good emotional moments happening, which I feel like is something I really like in sci-fi. I don't want it to just be, here's a bunch of science, here's a bunch of spaceships, pew, 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 but there's no emotions. I really need there to be emotions. And actually, I think the book is doing a really good job of that. So I am enjoying it, but I'm kind of curious to see where it's going. And I would say I really like all of the parts of the book where I'm following the Jedi, and the parts where I'm following the kind of the antagonists of the story are not nearly as enthralling to me. So we'll see how I feel. So I'm going to make these cookies, and after I'm done with the cookies, we are going to head out. We are going to go to a baseball game tonight at the Florence Y'all's ballpark. So let me explain what that means, because you're not from here. So the Florence Y'alls are a baseball team. They are named after the water tower in Florence, Kentucky, which is on the I-71 interstate if you're traveling from Louisville up to Cincinnati. They have a big water tower off the interstate, and on it is famously written, "Florence, y'all." It's very famous. There's a whole story behind it, a bunch of different stories about how maybe it's there because the people in Northern Kentucky got tired of the people in Cincinnati calling them ignorant hicks, which maybe they were doing. They still kind of do a little bit, I think, sometimes. But also that might not be true. It might have been some kind of a promotion for the Florence Mall, which it kind of sits in the parking lot of, so who knows. But anyway, they had a contest to name the baseball team, and they decided to name it after the water tower. So indeed, their mascot is a water tower. And they are named the Y'alls. And tonight is Star Wars night, which is the reason we're going and why I have my shirt on. So I am looking forward to Star Wars night at the baseball game. I'm not super into baseball. Probably going to read my book a little bit when it gets slow, but I think it's going to be a fun night, and then there's going to be fireworks. So I will take you all along with me for that, and I'll see you in a bit. Hi guys, I am back and I am here to give a wrap up for The Light of the Jedi. There. Okay, so how did I feel about this book, which is setting up this new kind of time period, this new plot line, these new enemies and everything like that for the High Republic? I feel like there were a lot of things I really liked about this book. I really liked the Jedi characters that we met. I did think there were too many of them, so I had kind of a hard time keeping track of who was who sometimes, but that's okay. I thought that the enemy, the big bad enemy that's going to be in these books, the Nihil, I still don't know how to say it. I thought that they were not very scary. I guess if I had a criticism of this book, it would be to say that it felt kind of comic booky to me, which makes sense when you know that the author has written a lot of comics for Star Wars and other franchises. It was actiony, but I felt like once we got past the first part of the book, there wasn't a lot of kind of internal depth to the characters. So I felt like we were very much seeing things happen, but not getting as much of the reflection on that as I personally would have liked to. I think for me, this is a 3.5-star read. I did enjoy it, and I understand it had to do a lot of world building and a lot of heavy lifting. It wasn't as good as I wanted it to be, I'll be honest. But I did enjoy it, and I like the High Republic and the idea of getting to see this new era that we haven't seen before. So I have gone ahead and I have started, just barely, so I can't talk about it yet, really, The Rising Storm, which is going to be the next book in the series. It's by Cavan Scott. I hope that's how you say his name. So we kind of pick up almost exactly where we left off in Light of the Jedi. And one of our Jedi characters has had, at the end of that book, he had a vision. And at the beginning of this book, we see him trying to figure out what is going on with this vision, what it could mean, if it's all going to come to pass, or if there's any way to get around it and to avoid the bad end that he has seen for a lot of different people. So that's where I am with that. So yesterday, give a little update. Yesterday, we went up to Columbus to the Columbus Library Book Festival. I didn't get a lot of footage, which you probably saw, because it was really overwhelming. They said on their social media that yesterday they had 23,000 people visit the book festival, and that's amazing for them, and fantastic that that many people love books. But for me, an introvert, it was a lot of people. It was a lot of people. We walked through the library, we walked through the exhibits, like the exhibitors, all of the booths. A lot of it was so crowded that there was no way to even get into the booths to see what the different merchandise that they were selling was. I definitely was not going to make it through the Friends of the Library sale because no one was moving in that tent, and it was insane. I'm not trying to criticize the library. I'm really happy for them, and I don't think, there was anything super concerning about it. It was just super popular. Today is the second day of it. I am not there, and I'm not sorry. There's just too many people for me. It was fun. And we got back earlier than I thought we would because we didn't stay super late. So I still had time to watch episode 5 of The Acolyte. So we're up to episode 5 now, and I'm actually really enjoying the show in a lot of ways. I don't want to spoil it, so it's hard for me to talk about it, kind of. I would say I've seen a lot of the criticisms of the show online, and I can't speak to any kind of continuity of the use of the Force and things like that because I'm not enough of a Star Wars person, Star Wars expert to be able to comment on that. I would say that I do think I am enjoying the acting for the most part. There are a couple characters, some child characters that didn't really do it for me, but that's okay. So I have been enjoying that. And then I've also been enjoying the plot line and trying to figure out the mystery of what happened to these characters, to these twin girls, what happened in their past so that one of them ended up with the Jedi. It is not in any way intersecting so far with what I read in this book. At least not that I've noticed. And I was kind of curious if we would see any of the same characters. And I don't think that we have, but if we have, and I'm a liar, that's fine too, because I am not good with names, and especially not names that I don't really know how to pronounce. So anyway, that's where I am. And today is my birthday, so we're gonna do some fun birthday things, I think. And then I'm gonna read some more of this. Yeah, see y'all in a little bit. That's a video. I didn't mean to do that. All right, guys, I'm gonna do an update on the Rising Storm, which so far feels very much like it's just a continuation of the first book, Light of the Jedi, in the series. So we have met, in the first book, we met our kind of big enemies, the Nihil, and they're continuing to be a problem here. The Starlight Beacon has been activated, so something that was going to happened at the end of the first book, and now the beacon has been activated, but now obviously there are going to be some complications. We are following a lot of the same Jedi that we followed in the first book. There are a few new characters. We have met someone who seems like they're a mercenary who used to be a Jedi or something like that. I'm not really sure, whose character I personally really like so far. So that's something different. But yeah, I am enjoying this one. It just feels like a continuation of the first one, so I can't say that much about it yet, but I am hoping to finish it by tomorrow. And we did get to episode 6. Yes, we got to episode 6 of The Acolyte. We'll watch episode 7 tonight, and then tomorrow we will watch the finale. And I have to say that I am really enjoying it. I think it's a really interesting story. In particular, the actor playing Soule is doing such a fantastic job. You can just tell how conflicted he is about his relationship with Osha and the things that he's done, which I don't know what they are yet, and all that stuff. But I am really enjoying it. I had a good birthday yesterday. Did some fun book shopping. I'm going to put that up in a separate video so that it doesn't take up this whole vlog. But I have had a really good 4-day weekend, and I'm not really looking forward to going back to work tomorrow, but that's okay. So I will be back probably tomorrow to hopefully have finished this book. I'm at 25% right now, and to go ahead and watch the rest of the show, give you my final thoughts, and then give you my kind of idea of how this series seems like it is if you're somebody who's never read a Star Wars book before. right, guys, it is time for the final wrap up of the vlog. It is now Thursday, and I have spent the past week really trying to kind of immerse myself in Star Wars media, and I have some thoughts. And first, we're going to talk about The Acolyte, which of course is the brand new Star Wars TV show on Disney Plus that I have been watching all week that is set in the High Republic era. So last night we watched the final episode of the show, and I would say overall that I really enjoyed the show. I thought that I really cared about a lot of the characters. I thought the writing was pretty well done. I thought some of the acting probably could have been a little bit better, but the fight sequences were top tier. So the choreography on all of those lightsaber and other types of fights were amazing, really good, really enjoyed it. The last episode was a very emotional, heart-wrenching kind of thing. I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but if you're wondering if you should read it, I think in some ways it's a little bit uneven in the middle of the show. I think that some of the episodes are only like 35 minutes long, which I think they could have been longer to flesh some stuff out. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I think setting up a new era of Star Wars, no complaints. With that said, now let's talk about the books. So I finished reading the second book, and that is The Rising Storm by Cavan Scott. I think the main thing I want to talk about is to answer the question, do I think that these books, here's the first one again, sorry about the glare from my window. Do I think that these books would be a good place for someone to start who has not read any Star Wars books before? And the answer to that question, for me at least, is no. No, I do not think it is a good place to start. I had some high hopes. I was reading the first one along with my partner, Sean, who is a big Star Wars fan and has read a lot of the books. And he kind of agreed with this assessment. And I'm going to explain to you why I don't think that this is a good place to start. There is the sense that it is a new era. You don't have to know all the characters because all the characters are new, but that doesn't mean you don't need to know anything. Now, I have seen a lot of Star Wars. Okay, I've seen all the films. I've seen most of the TV shows. So I'm not someone who is unfamiliar with Star Wars and everything that goes on within the universe, but this book does not hold your hand, neither one of these books. The first thing I would say is that they both have extremely large casts. And that's a problem because there are no familiar characters. So you're trying to learn who all these people are. But the way the books are written is written so that basically you're moving between these different viewpoints, lots and lots of viewpoints. So sometimes a chapter would end on a cliffhanger, and by the time you got back around to that character again, you would have forgotten what was even going on. At least that's how I felt. And the other thing that I think it does that I think is really strange is there's just no attempt to describe what any of these characters look like. So I'm not going to sit there on Wikipedia for the entire time to look up what these different races are. And it's not just me. I actually looked up some reviews of this to see if it was just because I'm not quite as well versed in Star Wars as some other people, but there were plenty of people who I think were big fans who were like, you could have described a character. And that's what I was talking about in my last review when I said I felt like the first book would have been better served as a graphic novel. I felt the same way in the second book. And both of these authors are people who have written a lot of comics for the Star Wars universe. And I think for me, at least, it just felt like books that were written by comic book authors. That's not a slight on comic books, but if you've got something, a graphic novel or a comic, then you can see what's going on and you can see what the characters look like. But I just had so much trouble keeping straight who these characters were. There's a lot of action in the second book. There were some things I did like better about the second book. Primarily, I thought that it did a good job having a sense of humor. Some of the humor that I feel like is really apparent. One of the things that I like about Star Wars, I didn't get it in that first book, but in this book, there was a lot more of that, and I did really enjoy it. And I thought that the world overall, the High Republic, and the idea of everything going on there, I think that that's got a lot of promise, and I really enjoyed it. And as I said, I really loved the Acolyte TV show. So these two books did not do it for me as someone who has not read a lot of Star Wars books before. So they would not be the place that I would recommend to start. And I'm saying that because I've seen a lot of people say this is where you should start because it's a new universe. But I feel like if you're not, completely up on all the terms and everything like that, you're going to be a little bit confused. And also there's just a ton of characters. So this would not be what I would recommend. Doesn't mean I didn't enjoy the books. They're both probably around 3.5 star reads for me. I did not think they were fantastic. I didn't feel emotionally attached to any of the characters. So they were fine. I would read more. I probably will read the third book in this starting trilogy, which was written by Claudia Gray. I have read a book by her before. I read Leia, and I did really enjoy that book and her writing in that. So I'm hoping that she's going to bring this part of the story to a conclusion that I'm going to really enjoy. So, did I have a good time this week? Really, doing all the Star Wars stuff. And you know what I did? I had a good time. We went to that baseball game, which was silly but fun. We made some Star Wars cookies. I was a little sad. We do have a pop-up bar in Cincinnati that is Star Wars Cantina themed, and we were going to go to it, but we just ran out of time and didn't make it there. But I'm hoping to make it there before they close. We'll see. Not really a bar person. But yeah, no, I had a really great time, and I'm really glad I did it. And it reminded me that I have really enjoyed all of the time that I have spent in the Star Wars universe before. So I'm going to be seeking out some more books to read now that I have started with these first two. I think I want to read some of the ones that I know are kind of more highly regarded and more highly rated to see how I feel about those, maybe with some characters that I'm already familiar with, since I had previously read Leia and I did really enjoy that. That might be something that'll work a little bit better to get me into kind of the swing of things. So with that, it is time for me to end this vlog. It has been a great week. I've had a good time, and I hope that you all have had a good time watching me try to figure out if I thought these books were a good place to start. So if this is your first time here, I do invite you to hit that subscribe button so that you can be notified of all of the vlogs and reviews and things like that I do. I do post a lot of fantasy sci-fi as well as a lot of other things on this channel. And with that, it's time for me to go. I hope you all have a great week, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.